Welcome to ChannelFrederator. Have you ever wondered what lies beneath the layers of our favorite green ogre? Today we're peeling back the curtain to explore the swampy depths of the first Shrek movie, revealing hidden gems, behind-the-scenes secrets, and much, much more. This is your passport to far, far away as we dive into 107 facts about Shrek. Buckle up, it's going to be an ogre-sized adventure.
Welcome to ChannelFrederator, the cartoon central of the internet. Before we begin, we publish new videos every week, so be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. And with that out of the way, let's get into the video.
Number 1. Shrek was a unique idea in the realm of animated movies. This film is often described as an anti-fairy tale because it subverts the traditional tropes found in classic fairy tales. Number 2. Keeping with the theme of subverting fairy tale expectations, instead of a handsome prince, our hero is an ogre. The princess is no damsel in distress with kick-ass karate skills and a dark secret, and the villain is a height challenge lord with an enormous ego. Number 3. Shrek, as a character, was designed to subvert the classic fairy tale trope of the handsome and noble prince. He's an ogre who loves his solitude and is initially uninterested in playing the hero. He manages to show that heroism comes in many forms, and that it's our actions, not our appearances, that define us. Number 4. Princess Fiona is another character who breaks fairy tale conventions. She's initially introduced as the classic damsel in distress, but reveals herself to be a strong, independent woman with a big secret. Her curse, turning into an ogre by night, serves as a commentary on societal beauty standards and the importance of being true to oneself. Number 5. Fiona's burping scene was inspired by her voice actor Cameron Diaz after she let out a burp while recording. Number 6. Lord Farquaad, despite his small stature, has an enormous ego. He's the ruler of Duloc, a kingdom obsessed with perfection and order, reflecting Farquaad's controlling nature. His quest to marry Fiona and become king shows his lust for power and a disregard for others' feelings. Number 7. Donkey, voiced by Eddie Murphy, is the comic relief of the film, but he's more than just a source of laughs. He's also Shrek's loyal friend and plays a significant role in helping the ogre open up and show his softer side. Donkey's non-stop chatter contrasts perfectly with Shrek's gruff exterior, creating a dynamic duo that audiences loved. Number 8. The dragon, initially introduced as a terrifying beast guarding Fiona, turns out to have a softer side too. She falls for Donkey and later helps the main characters in their quest. This unexpected character arc adds an additional layer of humor and complexity to this film. Number 9. The three blind mice who appear in Shrek's swamp are a humorous take on the characters from the nursery rhyme of the same name. In fact, they're the film's only nursery rhyme creatures that we see. Everyone else is from fairy tales specifically, and although we hear about the Muffin Man, he doesn't make an appearance until Shrek 2. Speaking of the Muffin Man, Number 10. The Gingerbread Man, or Gingy, has a memorable introduction in the film where he's being tortured by Farquaad. This scene, which parodies serious interrogation scenes in action films, became one of the most iconic moments in Shrek. Not the gumdrop buttons! Number 11. The film features a number of other fairy tale creatures, like the Big Bad Wolf and the Three Little Pigs. These characters, all banished to Shrek's swamp by Farquaad, represent the diverse and often misunderstood outcasts of society, aligning with the film's theme of breaking stereotypes. Number 12. Typically, an animated film will be voiced with all the actors in the same room riffing off one another. However, Myers, Murphy, and Diaz all played their roles separately. Number 13. The film is based on a 1990 picture book titled Shrek by William Steig. The book was about a hideous ogre who leaves home to see the world and ends up saving a princess. The word Shrek is actually derived from the Yiddish word Shrek, which means fear or terror. Number 14. Steven Spielberg, who was a fan of Steig's work, purchased the right to the book in 1991, intending to make a traditionally animated film. But it wasn't until 10 years later, under the banner of DreamWorks, that Shrek finally hit the big screen as a computer-animated film. Number 15. Spielberg had also at one point planned for Shrek to be a partially live-action film. The idea was to have the ogre and donkey characters made with CGI, with real actors playing the humans. That would have been a very different movie and might have scared a whole lot of children. Number 16. Shrek was among the first few movies made by DreamWorks Animation, which was co-founded by Steven Spielberg, Jeffrey Katzenberg, and David Geffen. Katzenberg had previously worked at Disney and wanted to create a movie studio that could rival the House of Mouse. Shrek was a significant milestone in achieving that goal. Number 17. Shrek has the distinction of being the first film to ever win the Academy Award for Best Animated Feature in 2002. This category was introduced that very same year, and Shrek beat out other contenders like Monsters Inc. and Jimmy Neutron Boy Genius. A lot of quality meme contenders that year. Number 18. The film's wrestling scene, where Shrek takes on Farquaad's Knights, was actually inspired by a WWF match. The filmmakers wanted to capture the same energy and chaos you'd see in a professional wrestling match. If Shrek were a pro wrestler, which one would he be? My money's on Stone Cold Steve Austin, but I could be convinced otherwise. Number 19. DreamWorks used a new technology called PDI, Pacific Data Images, to animate the film. This was a significant step forward for computer-generated animation, allowing the animators to create more detailed and expressive characters. Number 20. Animating Donkey was a particular challenge for the animators. They studied the movements of real donkeys extensively, but given Eddie Murphy's high-energy performance, they also had to push beyond realistic movement to match his comedic style. Number 21. Lord Farquaad was one of the first fully CGI human characters to appear in an animated film, with even Disney using primarily non-human characters in their films at the time. His design was more complex and challenging than the non-human characters due to the need for realism in his movements and expressions. Number 22. Mike Myers, known for his work on Saturday Night Live and Austin Powers, voiced the lovable ogre Shrek. Myers brought his unique comedic timing and improvisational skills to the role, making Shrek really stand out. Not that a gigantic ogre needs help standing out. Number 23. Interestingly, Myers originally recorded Shrek's dialogue in a Canadian accent, similar to his natural speaking voice. However, after hearing the playback, Myers felt that Shrek should have a Scottish accent, and he re-recorded all of his lines. This decision significantly delayed production and added an additional $4 million to the film's budget. Seems like this was the right call in the end though. Number 24. Eddie Murphy is the voice of Donkey, Shrek's loquacious sidekick. Murphy's high-energy performance and improvisational prowess played off perfectly against Myers' more gruff performance. Number 25. Cameron Diaz voiced Princess Fiona, breaking away from her typical roles in romantic and comedy films. Number 26. Veteran actor John Lithgow brought the egotistical and comically villainous Lord Farquaad to life. Despite being a villain, Farquaad's over-the-top personality and Lithgow's performance made him a memorable character, and he even has a fan following to this day. Number 27. Shrek was one of the earliest animated films to feature an A-list cast. Before this, most animated films used professional voice actors rather than well-known movie stars. The success of Shrek helped to change this trend, paving the way for more big-name actors in animated films. Number 28. A lot of the dialogue in Shrek was improvised. Both Myers and Murphy are known for their improvisational skills, and directors Andrew Adamson and Vicky Jensen encouraged them to ad-lib during recording sessions. Some of the film's funniest lines were off-the-cuff remarks from the actors. Number 29. Nicolas Cage was once considered for the voice of Shrek. However, he declined the role due to concerns about how his animated portrayal would be perceived by children. In a 2013 interview, Cage expressed that while he's not afraid to appear ugly in a movie, the implications of an animated depiction held a different weight. Despite the success of Shrek, Cage has stated that he doesn't regret his decision. Number 30. Before Shrek, ogres were typically depicted as evil creatures in fairy tales and folklore. Shrek changed this perception by portraying an ogre as the protagonist and hero, a move that resonated with audiences. Number 31. Donkey, voiced by Eddie Murphy, is known for his unique speech pattern and choice of phrases, often using modern slang and references that aren't typical in a fairy tale setting. Who else would get up early in the morning to make waffles? Number 32. The film's unique visual style was inspired by a variety of sources. The look of the characters was influenced by the illustration in William Steig's original book, while the design of the environments was inspired by real locations in Europe. Number 33. The environments in Shrek were designed to be as detailed and immersive as possible. The filmmakers used a technique called multiplane camera to create additional visual depth and movement. Number 34. Shrek's design went through multiple iterations before the final look was settled upon. Initially, he was more monstrous and intimidating, but the filmmakers wanted him to be a character that audiences could relate to, so they made him more human-like. Number 35. One of the most significant challenges in animating Shrek was creating realistic hair and fur. The filmmakers used a software called PhysT, short for physics tool, to make Donkey's fur and dragon's scales look real. This was one of the earliest uses of this technology in an animated film. Number 36. The animators also used a program called Fur Render to give Donkey's fur a realistic look. Each of Donkey's hairs was individually animated, which made him one of the most complex characters to animate. Number 37. The lighting in Shrek was used to create a specific mood and atmosphere. The filmmakers used a technique called global illumination, which simulates how light bounces off of surfaces in the real world. Number 38. To achieve a realistic look, the animators studied various real-life references. They visited a horse farm to study animal movements for Donkey and took martial arts lessons to animate Fiona's fight scene. Number 39. One of the most challenging scenes to animate was the dragon chase sequence. This required complex animation, as it involved multiple characters, fast-paced action, and a fully animated dragon. Number 40. The scene where Princess Fiona fights Robin Hood and his merry men was also particularly challenging due to the fast-paced action and Fiona's flowing hair and dress. Number 41. Shrek takes quite a few jabs at Disney. Of course, there's the sparkling Duloc theme park, absolutely jam-packed with souvenirs and themed merchandise for purchase, parodying Disneyland. The little Farquads everywhere even seem to be done up in a Mickey Mouse style. Number 42. Even the parking lot is a quick joke at the expense of theme parks. You can see a big sign letting guests know that they're parked in Lancelot, a nod to similar practices at popular attractions with gigantic parking lots. Number 43. The Duloc song, sung by the Mechanical Dolls in Lord Farquaad's Kingdom, is a parody of It's a Small World, but includes a goofy little joke, seemingly implying that visitors should wash their, well, something that rhymes with grass. Something tells me that Disney would never be quite so cheeky. Number 44. The scene where Fiona sings so high that a bird explodes is another poke at classic Disney films, where princesses often sing in harmony with woodland creatures. The song she sings, Morning Person, also appears in the Broadway adaptation of Shrek. Number 45. Oh, did I mention that there was a Broadway adaptation of Shrek? That's right, at one point in time you could go see a live rendition of this classic tale, complete with original songs and bonus plot points. You can even watch an official recording of it on Netflix. Number 46. There's a moment during the fight scene with Robin Hood and his merry men where Fiona mimics the famous bullet time effect from The Matrix. Neo could never. Number 47. Farquaad's henchman Thelonious is a reference to Thelonious Monk, a famous jazz pianist. Number 48. During the final dance scene, the characters perform the Macarena, a popular dance from the 90s. Number 49. Shrek is as famous for its music as it is for its animation. From pop songs to an incredible original score, Shrek's soundtrack played a significant role in shaping the film's tone and narrative. Number 50. The film's score was composed by John Powell and Harry Gregson Williams. Number 51. The film's score was recorded in the iconic British recording studio, Abbey Road Studios. Number 52. The film opens with the song All Star by Smash Mouth, which at this point is more associated with Shrek than anything else. Number 53. The songs All Star and I'm a Believer became massive hits thanks to their inclusion in the movie. Number 54. And the soundtrack itself peaked at number 28 on the Billboard 200. Number 55. Eddie Murphy showcases his singing abilities in the film with a rendition of I'm a Believer during the final scene. Murphy, who had some hit songs in the 80s, brought his musical talent to the role of Donkey. Number 56. Shrek was a significant gamble for DreamWorks. The studio invested heavily in new technology and challenged the traditional fairy tale narrative, making it a risky endeavor. If it underperformed, it could have had dire consequences for the studio. Number 57. Thankfully, Shrek was a massive box office hit, grossing over $484 million worldwide. This success proved that DreamWorks could compete with established animation studios and set the stage for numerous sequels and spin-offs. Number 58. It did really well in the home video market too, with more than 5.5 million Shrek DVDs being sold by the end of 2001. This made it the biggest selling DVD of all time at that point. Number 59. Following Shrek's success, DreamWorks split its live-action and animation divisions, leading to the creation of DreamWorks Animation. Number 60. DreamWorks Animation noticed that each subsequent Shrek film takes around twice the CPU hours to render than the last one. They coined this trend Shrek's Law, similar to Moore's Law. Number 61. John Lithgow and Lord Farquaad don't have very much in common, especially with John Lithgow being 6'4". Number 62. Shrek was the first animated film since Disney's Peter Pan in 1953 to be selected for competition at the Cannes Film Festival. Number 63. When Shrek declares his love to Fiona at the end of the movie, Mike Myers made sure to give it an authentic touch. He recorded the lines opposite his real-life wife, infusing genuine emotion into the heartfelt declaration. Number 64. Shrek has found a second life on the internet, where it's been the subject of countless memes. The film's memorable quotes, distinctive characters, and irreverent humor made it a favorite among internet communities. Number 65. The constellation Shrek points out when he and Donkey are stargazing is Bloodknock the Flatulent, a reference to the character Major Bloodknock from the 1950s BBC radio program The Goon Show. Number 66. Shrek 4D, a theme park attraction that serves as a sequel to the original film, opened at Universal Studios in 2003. The attraction features a 3D film with additional physical effects like seat movements and water sprays. Hopefully it didn't include too many Shrek-themed smells. Number 67. Numerous video games based on the Shrek franchise have been released on various platforms. These games allow players to explore the world of Shrek and interact with its characters in new ways. Number 68. The game Shrek Super Slam, an arena fighter where you can play as characters from the movies, actually managed to spawn an esports community. Number 69. Like any popular film, Shrek also spawned a wide range of merchandise, from toys and clothing to home decor and school supplies. Number 70. Visual humor is a key part to Shrek's comedic style. This includes physical comedy such as slapstick and funny character expressions, as well as visual gags like the diminutive size of Lord Farquaad. Number 71. Shrek's height is a significant aspect of his character. Standing 7 to 8 feet tall, he towers over most humans. His impressive stature and strength discourage anyone from pushing him around and make Lord Farquaad appear even tinier in comparison. Fun fact, the tallest man ever recorded stood at 8 feet 11 inches. Number 72. The song Hallelujah by Leonard Cohen plays a key role in the film during a montage scene. The song, which has been covered by many artists, perfectly captures the film's more emotional moments. Number 73. One adult-oriented Easter egg in the film is when Shrek makes a sly remark about the enormous size of Lord Farquaad's castle, suggesting that he just might be compensating for something. Number 74. And he just might be. If you pay close attention during the scene where Farquaad looks at pictures of the princess while drinking a martini in bed, you might be able to see something moving under his zebra print blanket. No comment. Number 75. When Steven Spielberg initially purchased the rights to the book in 1991, he envisioned creating a traditionally 2D animated film with Bill Murray as the voice of Shrek and Steve Martin as Donkey. That's a very 90s cast, don't you think? Number 76. The diverse array of fairy tale creatures that appear in Shrek required the animation team to create a wide variety of character models. This added a layer of complexity to the film's production and also brought the world to life. Number 77. Princess Fiona's design changed a few times. She was originally supposed to be a more traditional princess, but eventually the filmmakers landed on the more independent character that we know and love. This personality change led to further design changes. Number 78. The supervising animator, Ramon Hui, did numerous sketches and over 100 sculptures of Fiona before the directors picked the final design. Number 79. Shrek was heavily storyboarded. The filmmakers created detailed storyboards for every scene, which served as a visual script and guided the animation process. Number 80. Shrek was in production for about 4.5 years. The vision changed from a live-action animation hybrid, and actors had to be recast along the way. Number 81. Chris Farley, best known for his work on Saturday Night Live, was initially cast as Shrek and had recorded nearly all of his lines before his untimely death in 1997. After Farley's passing, Mike Myers was brought in to voice the character. Number 82. Mike Myers was driven by his personal connection to fairy tales. His mother, an actor, would playfully adopt different voices for characters in bedtime stories. These cherished memories of comedic storytelling inspired Myers to breathe life into Shrek's character. Number 83. Myers didn't know that Farley was the original voice of Shrek until years later. Number 84. Shrek also experienced a change in directors. Initially, Andrew Adamson, a visual effects supervisor, and Kelly Asbury were co-directing the film. However, Asbury left the project to work on another film, leading to Vicky Jensen joining Adamson as co-director. Number 85. Shrek's swamp is as iconic as the ogre himself, but early designs proposed several other living situations. Ideas included a rubbish dump near Wart Creek, and even Shrek's parental home, where he'd hoard garbage and rotting fish in his bedroom. Ultimately, the filmmakers settled on the swamp, which perfectly encapsulated Shrek's lonely and misunderstood persona. Number 86. Shrek's influence extends beyond the confines of his swamp and into the real world. In 2010, Shrek was honored with a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, proving that not just real people, but beloved fictional characters can earn this distinction. Mike Myers gave a speech at the ceremony, and fans can now visit Shrek's star in LA. Number 87. When Tinkerbell crashes into Donkey and a burst of pixie dust makes him fly momentarily, it's a nod to the classic story of Peter Pan. But why was Peter trying to sell Tink in the first place? You figure her fairy dust on its own would be worth something. Number 88. You can see Mama Bear, Papa Bear, and Baby Bear in cages towards the beginning of the first film, and then only Papa Bear and Baby Bear alone later at Shrek's house. Further into the movie, we see a bear rug that looks a little familiar at Farquaad's castle. Number 89. Believe it or not, Shrek's distinct look was reportedly inspired by a real person, Maurice Tillet, a French boxer from the 1930s and 40s. He had a condition that enlarged his hands, feet, and face, similar to Shrek's physical characteristics, although he stood at just 5 feet 9 inches. This connection, while plausible, has never been officially confirmed, and no, Tillet wasn't green. Number 90. Shrek has made his way into other DreamWorks productions too. He's appeared in various forms, from a medal in Monsters vs. Aliens to a Rocky and Bullwinkle short in 2014. He was even slated to appear in the collector scene in Guardians of the Galaxy, but unfortunately, it didn't work out. Number 91. Shrek follows a classic hero's journey narrative structure. He starts as an isolated individual, goes on a journey, faces challenges, and returns home transformed. No wonder it resonates with so many people. Number 92. Speaking of journeys, each main character in Shrek has a distinctive character arc. Shrek learns to open up and let others in. Fiona learns to accept herself, and Donkey helps them connect. Even Gingy has a mini-arc where he survives horrific torture inflicted by Farquaad and returns a stronger and more compassionate gingerbread person, icing stitches and all. Number 93. In the opening sequence, the book that Shrek is reading looks very similar to the book that opens Disney's Sleeping Beauty. Number 94. Shrek loves to use symbolism to reinforce its themes. For example, the layers of an onion symbolize the layers of Shrek's personality. I suppose a parfait could work too. Number 95. Eddie Murphy, who voices Donkey, previously voiced another famous animated character, Mushu, the dragon in Disney's Mulan. I wonder if that had anything to do with his love story involving a dragon. Number 96. Each character in Shrek has a distinctive design that reflects their personality. Shrek is designed to be intimidating but also lovable. Fiona is both a princess and an ogre and a badass. And Donkey, despite being a donkey, is the most expressive of all. Number 97. The filmmakers drew inspiration from classic paintings to create the film's unique look. The scene where Shrek and Fiona enjoy a sunset is directly inspired by Maxfield Parrish's paintings, known for their vibrant colors and dreamlike quality. Number 98. The main writing team of Shrek was composed of Ted Elliott, Terry Rossio, Joe Stillman, and Roger S.H. Schulman, each bringing a unique flavor to the script. Number 99. Elliott and Rossio had previously collaborated on Disney's Aladdin, providing a strong background in animated storytelling. Stillman had worked on the edgy humor of MTV's Beavis and Butthead, while Schulman had experience in the realm of fantastical storytelling with Alf Tales. Number 100. The backgrounds in Shrek are very detailed, from the cluttered interior of Shrek's house to the bustling streets of Duloc. I especially like Shrek's earwax candles. They probably make the room smell wonderful. Number 101. During its earliest production stages, Shrek wasn't necessarily associated with prestige. In fact, animators who underperformed on other projects were often reassigned to work on Shrek, a process referred to as being sent to the gulag or getting Shreked. Despite this less than promising start, Shrek went on to become the biggest success DreamWorks has ever had in animation. Number 102. Shrek has had a significant impact on pop culture, and its influence can be felt in many other postmodern fairy tale flicks that came after it, from Hoodwinked to Disney's Chicken Little. Number 103. Shrek has transcended its status as a beloved animated film to become a cult classic. Even 2 decades after its release, die-hard fans continue to celebrate the movie in a unique way. Shrekfest. Held annually on Labor Day weekend in Madison, Wisconsin, Shrekfest features a range of Shrek-themed activities, from a roaring contest to an onion-eating competition and live bands playing the iconic soundtrack. Interestingly, Shrekfest began as an internet joke, but the fan community's belief in it was so strong that it became real. The festival was started by the art collective 3GI Industries and has since exploded into an international phenomenon. Number 104. There's even a hilarious fan-made version of Shrek called Shrek Retold. Hundreds of Shrek fans collaborated to recreate the movie in its entirety, showcasing the unique talents and viewpoints of all who participated. You can even watch it for free on YouTube right now. Number 105. In 2020, Shrek received the high honor of being added to the National Film Registry of the Library of Congress. This esteemed recognition pays tribute to the films that have had a significant cultural, historic, or aesthetic importance to the nation's film heritage. With its unique blend of humor, storytelling, and animation, Shrek undoubtedly secured its place in American cinematic history. Number 106. Even years after its release, Shrek continues to have a strong and passionate fan base. Its appeal spans generations, and it remains a beloved film for many. Number 107. Shrek has left a lasting legacy on the film industry. Its innovative use of CGI, subversive humor, and memorable characters have made it a landmark in animation, and its influence can still be seen in animated films today. And that, dear viewers, brings us to the end of our grand tour through the world of Shrek. We hope that you've enjoyed this journey as much as we enjoyed guiding you. These 107 facts are proof that there's more to our favorite ogre than meets the eye. Don't forget to subscribe to ChannelFrederator for more amazing facts about your favorite shows and movies. If you've got a particular film or show that you want us to explore next, let us know in the comments.
Did you enjoy our video? What facts do you think we missed? Let us know in the comments down below. And while you're there, like and subscribe to see more great videos every week. And remember, Frederator loves you.